Hi, Warriors. Who's ready? Give me a why. For the understated, completely underestimated true inflation rate. Who's ready to play the game? Ingmar, are you there? Mike, Bran, Ryan's here with me today. Hiya, Hugo, Steve, James, John Hawkins. How are you? We got some Brand's born ready. Michael's ready. Okay. So just a couple of things and get to Ryan. I think Nick's going to be here with us. And I think that Greg is going to stop in case Ryan and I run out of things to talk about, which I don't think is going to happen because Ryan and I could talk up a storm. All right. All right, let's start with US dollar yen. Hi, Ryan. How you doing today, brother?
Morning, mate. How you doing? I'm good, thank you.
Okay, so anyone who went with this trade, with all the divergences and everything, this was my first objective here between here and 49. It wouldn't be the worst idea to take half in front of the CPI unless you just want to be a riverboat gambler and just risk it all. But, now you should be in a position to look at, it's 150 pips or so. You take half and you could probably have a profit stop, or at the minimum BE on the rest. Silver really outperforming. In fact, the star of the stock market on the recovery were the silver shares. Okay, now just keep in mind we could have pullbacks, but I'm looking for a third drive on the weekly, which should take it up to about 36. So here's one, here's two. Let me screw up my charts. Where's it come in? 36.80, around there. So that's where I think we're going. In fact, I think everything's going to rally for a few weeks into OPEX. So we're getting that rally in the S&Ps finally. Is it two drives or is this enough? I think that this is enough for us to get some kind of 2-week rally. I'm not looking for a lot. See, I told you I'd screw up my charts by lowering it. Okay, so this is what I think we could go. Possibility all the way back up to 8.5, halfway back. That's where WD Gann would sell the first rally after a pretty brutal decline. Hard to hold positions in this decline. There were a lot of whips. This one was really the toughest. This was all of wave two. So let's see what happens up here in the next couple of weeks. And the gold silver ratio, you're already getting 4 less silver coins for an ounce of gold than you would have a week ago. Okay, so just something to keep in mind. So 82, 92 support, that means that I think in a month you'll get 72 ounces of silver for 1 ounce of gold. So now I'm going to go to Ryan. And Ryan, what's the expectation today for CPI?
Yeah, we're expecting both the core and the headline to come down 1 pip, 3.2 on the core, 2.9 on the year-on-year headline number. So just a small screw back on those inflation numbers.
Okay. And this is very key to watch today as well, everybody. No, everyone's wrong-footed on this. If it happens, everyone's, lower yields. I've been taking a lot of criticism. Someone told me to pray harder. because I'm bearish TLT and the market was crashing. So that's what they said. Dale, you're on the wrong side of this. You better pray harder. You know what I tweeted back to the guy?
Can I repeat it?
Yeah, you can. I
Oh, it's
said
not rude then.
I just said I prayed for you because someone doesn't understand that there's some power in that. They need my prayers. So anyway, let's talk about yields here, Ryan.
Yeah,
This is going to be pretty affected by what kind of number we get, and it seems like the market is, like you're saying, the expectations for a decent number. Less inflation heat.
yeah,
Um, if we get through 433, it measures 450, 460 on the 10-year. How's
yeah.
that chart look to you? Would you be short that chart?
I wouldn't be short yields, or you mean short on the price? No, I wouldn't be.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
just a chart. Does this chart look like a short to you? I couldn't short it
no,
here. All right, so
no, no. Exactly.
that's a tip that you could use when you're initiating positions, and even more importantly, when you're holding a position and you're tempted to go out, liquidate, ask yourself if you would reverse. And if the
Yeah,
answer is just like Ryan's was, then you just walk away and let it work and keep your stops in there. So
yeah.
how you playing?
Technically,
Technically,
uh, uh,
yes.
yeah, technically, that 434. You had it on the way down, and I had it on the way down.
Yeah, yeah.
So technically, you can look at that level and say, right, well, I'm gonna buy some bonds if we hit that level.
Okay.
But yeah, if this CPI is hot, we're probably going to go through there, and then 440, 450s on the cards potentially.
Yeah.
So I think we've got the Fed coming up, which are likely to stay on hold, as we know. So this data is important, but it's probably not going to change the needle for the Fed, and unless core CPI comes in below 3%, which will be the first time in 4 years.
Okay.
Then you might see a bit of a down move in yields, and a bit of a sell off on the dollar. But we're still in dollar rally sell mode at the moment. So anything that gives a rally in the dollar is probably going to get hit again.
I saw a great chart by Peter Bookvar, and he overlaid the dollar against the NASDAQ 100 triple Qs. They're identical. So it does represent, and I remember I had Luke Roman on, and he
Yeah,
said, well, we're saying we don't want Chinese money anymore. I'd get out of the Qs because that's where they were putting all their money.
yeah,
Okay. So, maybe buy industrials, but, he's a Bitcoin and gold guy. But, he had that diagnosed pretty good. Anyway, so you have a new correlation to follow, and it's MAG 7, NASDAQ 100, along with what were we talking about? I've
the
been
dollar.
up since. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, the dollar and Qs. The dollar and Qs. Don't you think we're due for some kind of bounce here? I mean, every sell's a rip. I'm looking for 95. Um, but maybe this is getting overdone like the market, and maybe if that correlation holds up and we get a rally in NASDAQ for a few weeks, or a week or a day, that the dollar could actually do the same. So look at the similarity in the charts.
Yeah. Well,
All
you've got
right.
a bit of a level here, haven't you? Round about is it 103? Because we had that low in November,
Yeah.
and then just before that, coming
Yeah.
through October, we had a bottom there, and then before that, it was resistance through to
Yeah.
August, and then
Yeah.
before that, it was
Yeah.
support
It's
again. So it's
kind of a
key.
pivot.
Level. Yeah,
Yeah. Otherwise, there's nothing till par and a
yeah.
half. So anyway, how are you looking to play this number?
I'm just going to be mainly watching euro dollar, because we're still ticking up around that 109 area.
Yeah.
we had a very, very clear move. You know, I've been talking about my zone 108 70, 30 to 70. And then we had that NFP high when I thought we might get 109 last Friday. We got to 108.88.
Close
We
enough.
broke it. Yeah, we broke it. And then look where support has come after the break, right into that level again.
We get through that. Maybe we get, I don't think you're going to have a chance to buy Euro back at 5.5 breakouts anymore, but maybe 107.30, 107 is kind of a zone here. Some moving averages and so forth. You think it could get that
I
deep?
wouldn't even go that. I don't think we get that deep on this number. If you see 108.30 or 108.70 anywhere in that zone, then I think that's probably where the dip buyers will come in, and then we see if we can take out that 109.40 high. If you do that, I've got another level 109.60, and I was pointing out on the flow show. I mean, I can take the chart if you want me to, Dale. It's up to you.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me grab the chart quickly then. So I want a daily. Let's come in a bit. You can see that, okay?
Yeah.
So that 109.40, which is a pretty old level. We've had plenty of action there. 109.60 just above it. These were all levels that we were playing with on the way up, but they were all resistance points on the breakdown. So we broke 109.60, resistance. Broke 109.40, resistance. So these levels are all going to be important on the way up. 110 is the big one, and then obviously 112. If we're above 112, above 110, then you remember what happened around this level up at the 112. And so yeah, I think dips, and just showing you there that this is what I mean. We had that high in the NFP, and we've just held it.
Right.
Okay, so I was waiting to see if we got a break and hold at the top of this zone. We haven't really tested it, but that's, like as you say, good enough. So that's your level now. We're right on it. 20 minutes for all the data, so don't trust it too much. But if it is a really hot number, then you need to look at the bottom of this zone, this 30 area, and at the very least 108s. If we dip to there and hold there, then I'm probably going to jump on board and add back to my longs, and then see if we get a break up above.
Okay. Any other pair on your mind?
Yeah, you mentioned dollar yen. Very, very clear price action. You know, we're talking about the 107, the 147 on the way down. And I explained to traders when you. I mean, I didn't catch a knife. I actually tried the break short through this. I got a few pips in it, and then I got stopped out on the rest. But this is classic fail break price action. You come down, you test a low, you break the low, but you can't hold below that line, and then you break back above, and then look straight after you get another hold. You know, this is, as I say, textbook break failure, because you get back above it, and then look what you get. You get another 180 pips out of it, and we're just hitting a big level here. This was where we broke down previously. We couldn't get through in February, couldn't get through, and then we tried. You know, got yourself some decent pips, bounce, and then then we got all this move. So this is a big level.
Yeah, I'm thinking that before it's over, we have 151 in it, which if you do the fibs, I think that 51 and change is about 38% back.
Right there, mate.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of what, and that's the top of the wedge. If you draw the wedge from that 151 level, just draw a downtrend from the 151 right there, left.
Yeah. Oh, down across there. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
And that was pretty close.
This is important, this 151, because we have done nothing but rally sell all this year.
Yeah.
All this year, every rally's been hit, and again, we've broken big levels and returned to big levels, and they become resistance again. So this, even this 151, this 38.2 fib, which only comes off this low, it's already a level. So you've got double trouble here, because it's already a level. You can see across here, we've already had action there.
Well, that could say something about yields, couldn't it?
Yeah. Yes. Well, yes and no, because this one's this one's a bit flaky on yields, because this euro yen's doing a lot of the work.
Okay.
And here we are also messing around with some decent, support and resistance traffic area, if you like. This 162.20. If we're getting above there, then probably dollar yen's going to follow it more than yields. But yeah, we might switch on to following yields in dollar yen. So if yields bust that that 434 area,
Yeah.
this is we're probably heading up to 150 or something.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Ryan. Great,
No
great
worries, mate.
insights.
Do you
I'm
want
gonna
to?
bring. I think I'll bring in Keith Carradine, Grasshopper, Kung Fu.
Hey,
Does it ring a bell, Nick?
I honestly didn't catch on to that one, but that's
You,
probably my
well, you
range.
got to watch your namesake on YouTube.
I
Uh, he,
definitely do.
he could have been a trader. He's got that, Eastern philosophy. He would not have FOMO. Okay. Anyway, so the other day you were talking about, you were considering longs in in the
Does Nick want
market.
to take the chart, or do you want me to
Yeah,
hold it?
let Nick take the chart.
Yeah,
Yeah, no
Uh,
problem.
and it's very understandable that the kind of brutal decline that it's hard to buy a market like that. What are you thinking after this bounce?
Yeah, it certainly is. I'm still holding long. I got into it around Monday, so I'm
Yeah,
around break even. I'm not using a ton of size. This has been quite a pop down. But Dale, as you were talking about OPEX, it reminded me of some stats that I saw by Wayne Whaley, who's awesome. If you guys haven't seen him, but he talks about, I read this yesterday. It was about quarterly options expirations and the week leading into it, kind of exactly what you're saying. You'll see that the up down is 26 and 14, and if you get a 1% move, it's 19 and 8. So 19 out of the 26 times it was a 1% move. So you might be onto something there, definitely. I think we've tested some pretty key levels. It's trying to hold this 50, but we'll have to see. I have it drawn a couple different ways. So you can see I have a bit of a wedge here that we're
yeah,
trying to get through. We're on the underside of the resistance at the moment. It would kind of trigger a false breakdown of the wedge, and a break above 56, call it 56.50 or so, likely triggers that on. But in my ES, you can see there's a bit of a descending channel with a similar resistance, 56.55. So I'm waiting to see if we can get above there. And if we do, then I can think about maybe pressing or something. But I'm really looking for a move just back near 58.40 or so. You'll
yeah.
notice that this is like the 38.2. So risk reward, stops at lows, trying to play it up. I think it makes sense.
Halfway back.
Yeah, we'll have to see. It's a
That's
tough
what
one.
WD would do. He'd sell a 50% retracement after a big move like this.
Yeah.
And as far as the option expiration, my reasoning is the option writers,
Mhm.
they've put all the call premium in their pocket already. Now
Mhm.
now they're going to claw back some put premium is what I'm thinking.
Right. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And thinking about today, I was just looking at CPI from the last print, and I felt like it reacted differently than I had expected it to. We had a hot print that day, and you can see that long wick we had, and then it still kind of rallied up a little bit.
Yeah.
I ultimately obviously bled down. I don't know if this move was on inflation. It seems more like Trump, straight up Trump fears. Um, but I was looking at the 10 year as well,
Well,
and
China said, we'll fight any war you want to fight. So
yeah,
this is
yeah,
also a battlefield.
yeah. We've been talking about that on the daily roundup a little bit. I've kind of
Was there
mentioned.
anything I bring up that someone hasn't talked about already?
Oh, true.
Huh?
Me
I
neither.
mean, otherwise I'll just send a recording in every day.
Yeah,
What do you
no,
think?
no.
All right, anyway, I'm kidding you, bro.
Yeah, no.
Just
I
my
lost my
Chicago.
train of thought though. Oh yeah,
I do that to people,
yeah.
and you know what? It's fun. No, I'm kidding. It's not fun. You know, anyway,
So
I want
Canada,
your,
I was getting at Canada and Mexico. Those two I wasn't all that worried about, given how, we're 35% of Mexico's GDP. I imagine some type of deal would get worked out. But China, they have this die by the sword mentality. I'm really worried
yeah,
about that and its potential effects on the semiconductor industry. AI really led us up here. I'm hoping there's not too many complications with Taiwan, China. Because semiconductors are in everything from the handle on your door to your car to your fridge. I mean, it's in everything. So I'm a little worried about a war there. But I like a tariff war. But I wanted to point out really quickly while I'm still thinking about it. We had that CPI print on Wednesday, the 12th of February. We saw a pump up, but eventually led to the decline down. You could say some of this, I feel like this part of it was kind of flight to safety. I don't know about this so much, but we're coming up to some key resistance somewhere around probably 4.35. I was just looking at this, and as I had it, I was like, well, is this a bit of a bull flag? It kind of looks like it, pulled back to the 50. I don't know if rates are going that high again. I doubt it. But maybe,
I kind of think it is if we get over that 430 level.
yeah, it
Uh,
definitely
or
can.
at least, Nick, how about a left shoulder at 450, like you have on the left
Yeah,
side?
yeah. No, that makes
Something,
sense.
a failing rally, and that would take TLT down to about 88 or so.
Yeah,
Um,
I still feel as if we're like maybe I'd be inclined to buy dips in ZN. Probably back closer to below 110 is
yeah.
where I'd be more interested.
How
I
about how about 109 for a left shoulder?
that would be much better. Yeah, that would look
Yeah,
great. Something
yeah,
like this. Yeah,
yeah,
that would
yeah.
be great. I would absolutely love that. And
Hey, hold on a second. I'm going to have to report you to Blake for
Oh,
drawing
he's got the
boot.
boobs
Draw.
out. He's
He's
got the
drawing
boobs
boobs
out.
on his chart.
Oh, Blake goes
You know
away for
you,
3 days,
huh?
and look what happens.
Too much testosterone, Nick. All
yeah,
right,
I'm a
man.
little still immature. But yeah, I'm seeing an inverse head and shoulders here. I also noticed one potentially on the 15-minute in the S&P as we geared up for the close. So maybe on
Yeah.
a break above 56.30, we could see a stretch up to some of that resistance that I was looking for, a break of 57.25. But I also want to point out really quick before we get the data rolling, the Mag 7 stocks have been really tough. Nvidia, I'm surprised it hasn't bled lower quicker. Because previously, before we had all this, when you thought of breaking 113, I was thinking, we're probably going to 100, but we've just had this slow little playing with everybody. Maybe it catches its footing here. We did tag the 618 of this extension from the April lows. So
Mhm.
that's probably a decent level, but it's like my last level, and that's what's concerning. When you look at a stock like Microsoft too, it's same thing. I would have assumed a break of like 400 here, when we were like this. Would have assumed a break of 400 would have bled quickly. It kind of had a slower grind down, but on a break of 385, I figured flush, and it's kind of holding some support near 38.2. But we've had people in this range for a year in Microsoft. And, if it doesn't catch up soon, this could get uglier. So we'll have to see. A few of the others, Amazon trying to touch a 38.2, trying to hold it. I do have it breaking down from this channel, so maybe we back test somewhere around 210 and then potentially reject. But I was
That's
definitely
a
more bullish last week than I am this week, and now I'm considering selling rallies rather than fully trying to hold dips.
yeah. Okay. Well, it's like I was saying when the mags started getting pressured that in the movie at least three of them survived, but they do look like there's a pop. Take a look at Apple. Now it held up because people were rotating into it because they thought it was safe. They thought it was a T-bill. Okay.
Yeah,
All right. So I mean that this is a very important support it held. If we take out this support, I'm looking for 180, 175. Give me a 2 week rally. I don't care. Back to 230.
230,
I'll even
240.
take, yeah, I'll take a rally there. I'd even take a rally back to 250, but I don't think that's going to happen. But
Yeah,
I
we'll have to
think I
see. And
think it's crowded trade because people feel safe there.
Yeah, that's the issue. I feel like people are feeling a lot less safe this past week.
Yeah,
This is the Mag 7 composite. We've come down to the 618. This is from the lows of August. Maybe we need to be
yeah,
looking at something further out. But I will mention, that's big tech. I've been looking at the Russell a lot.
yeah. It
Um,
looks better, doesn't it?
yeah, the Russell came down to this 2K level, which you can see how important that was in 2022 and 2023. It's doing a half butt job of trying to hold the 50, but I also have it in a wedge here and also in a descending channel that it's trying to get back above right now. But I'm looking if we can get back above, maybe 2067, we could get some type of pop up near 2130 and then maybe try and buy some dips and whatnot in it. But I do feel as if these rates lowering should help small caps. I'm looking for an overall pop back up near 2170 to 2200 to maybe short it again. But I will point out too, the last two elections, the Russell did quite well post elections. We'll have to see. 243% moves. Maybe it's due for not doing that, but yeah, I think this is kind of a big level in the Russell here that it kind of needs to hold, I think, because and this will be the first market in a bear market. If we take out the lows, we're right near 20% correction.
Yeah.
So you could see a bear market in the Russell start today.
Okay.
So we'll have to
All right.
see.
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask Grega a couple of questions. Grega, any changes on your views on yields? Could
No,
we be
not really. I just still
okay?
think that we are in this consolidation, that we could see more weakness. And based on today's data, of course, we should get some break out of this current range that we are in. But I think that
Yeah.
even if we see some hot number, that the dollar rally will be temporary. And I think that the US yields will just retest the resistance before we see again
Okay.
more weakness in the dollar in
Okay.
general.
And S&P wise, I know that you were thinking there's going to be another real good rally as
Yeah.
soon as we stabilized in the next week or so. Did we
Yes.
do it yesterday? And now we should.
Well, if you zoom this out a little bit, to zoom out, you can see that yesterday there was a volume, the highest since
Oh, look at
August.
that. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah,
So
this was
that
just,
everyone puking yesterday.
yeah. So, I
Great
mean,
observation.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Thanks, Greg.
yeah, I mean, it's because we have this volume ahead of important data. If anything can move stocks to the upside, then definitely that's today's data, right?
Yeah.
So I just think that there is some chance for a rally. I'm quite certain that Fed would love to see the same situation. There will be in big trouble if data comes out around 3% or even higher. Then not really sure what they will do, because we have stock market moving to the downside. There was some weak data recently, and not really sure if they want to be on hold for too long here. So in my opinion, it's everything set up for USCPI to come lower. And we said last time, as you know, commodities have seen a nice turn to the downside.
Yeah.
Crude oil the same. So I think around 2.9% is very possible. But even if we get 2.8%, that would be very good for the markets, in my opinion.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Grega. Listen, Ryan, can you get us set up for the number the way Blake
Yeah,
does it, or Nick,
yeah,
do you
I
want to do
can
it, or
do.
you don't want me to do it?
Ryan, it's your call.
I'm warning you.
Nick, have you got the ability, or do you want me to do it?
I should be able to do it. Just
Oh,
open
there
up
you go.
Flash, right?
Oh, Dale's got it. He's lost it. Or have you got the chart?
This is
There
me.
you go. Cool.
I
Okay.
just I'm gonna pull up. I'm not sure how he adds the
He just puts a lot of 15-minute charts up there, but
yeah,
like
I
the
just don't know how to
dollar and
add an extra
all
chart.
right, just leave data flash up there. That's okay.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so we'll have to see how things
Yeah, we'll get an idea from the S&Ps. And for oil guys, Anas El Haji is here with us today. I'm looking for oil to hold in the low 60s. And I have some important questions to ask Anas after the number. Stick around.
All right. So the dollar's trading at 103.64, up about 1/4%. Yields just under 3/4% up on the day. S&P 0.83. NASDAQ up a little bit more than the Dow, up about 1%. Dow's up 0.55. Time to see how they shift. 4 seconds.
Here we go.
Oh,
Softer.
softer. What's it at? 0.2?
2.8, 3.1.
Wow.
So a bit softer than expected.
Good call, Gregor.
Yeah, so you can
So
see
does the market like it?
market's popping, dollar is weakening back on near, taking out those lows from yesterday. Oh man. Yeah,
How about yen? How about yen?
So the dollar yen is
it giving it up?
it's
Some of it.
slightly,
Yeah,
not
some
too.
of it,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, just a little bit.
So see, it was a good idea to take half before the number. Okay.
Yep.
So
Yep.
now you have money in the bank, and you believe in the trade. You find a re-entry, and you're risking profits now.
And
That's
that high
the game.
was right. Yeah, that high was right on that level,
Yeah.
that break level, 148.85.
Yeah. So that was the first target, and when you get to your first target, before I bring Anas in, listen, you never know if you're going to have a major high or a major low, right? Or your trades are going to work or not work. So what do? If there's something compelling technically, you probe it, right? The market goes your way, you take partials, and then you protect the remainder. Of course, on the initial probe, you have a risk stop. You're going to risk something. But if you're not taking partials, say, for example, silver reversed from 31.80, and someone goes, oh, you said it was going to go to 36. All I could say is if you can't make money on a $1.20 move in silver, you need to go back to school. So, and we have a great school here at Forex Analytics.
Yes, we
Some
do.
of the best traders in the universe here that you could learn from. I want to thank all you guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Nick, thanks for dropping in. Grega, we're a great team because we're like the NFL, next man up, right? So, now we're going to talk oil. If you could release the charts to me, Nick,
Of course.
I may want to go to some oil charts. Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Dream Team.
Thanks,
Anas El-Had, thank you, Ryan. Thanks, Grega. Anas.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Do you hear me?
Good. I hear you. You're back from Riyadh.
Correct.
Okay.
I came back 2 days ago.
Okay. So what were you there for? What did you learn?
Well, I went to Vienna and I went to Riyadh and I learned a lot of things, but I have a list of things to talk about today.
Okay.
But the most important thing is that's what I heard, that when they met to virtually to decide to unwind the voluntary cuts by the 8 members of OPEC Plus, which some people made a big deal out of. Basically, it was planned since December. So the whole layout and what every country will produce starting in April was laid out in December. This should not be as a surprise.
Should be in the market.
The Trump name never been mentioned. They strongly believe that there were 2 conditions that they were met. The first condition is a large decrease in oil inventories, and they did decline substantially, especially in China. And the second condition is if they see a strong growth in oil demand, they see that. The problem is many analysts do not agree with them on the strong growth in oil demand, including myself. I don't think the demand is strong, but they see it. But from their point of view, they believe that they met the conditions. Now, some people are saying, well, the decision is political. They insist that the name Trump or anything related to politics was never mentioned in the meeting. But in my view, even if it is related to Trump, even if they think that they should do something to avoid statements by Trump. Notice the following, that when President Trump strengthened the sanctions on Iran, he never mentioned OPEC. He never mentioned Saudi Arabia.
Right.
And the idea here is very simple. OPEC Plus has Saudi Arabia and Russia. Trump is going to go to Saudi Arabia. He is going to meet with the Saudis. He's going to meet with the Arab leaders. He's going to meet with Putin. So think about it from Putin's point of view. How much he's willing to pay to have a switch in U.S. policy by 180 degrees.
As far as them
Seriously.
supporting him
I mean,
with the Ukraine.
it's just
Ukraine
unbelievable.
war.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
The same thing for the Saudis. I mean, to see this major change toward favoring Saudi Arabia and visiting Saudi Arabia as the first country in the world, Trump has to talk about money and talk about the Saudi money and all that stuff simply because in front of his base, he has to talk that way. But Saudi Arabia is more important than the way Trump is showing it. Saudi Arabia is part of the G20. Saudi Arabia has bigger influence than just the money. And Trump realizes that, but in front of his base, he has to talk the way he talks. But I have several points to talk about today. As you recall, the last time we talked about oil going sideways, 70 to 80. Despite all the problems, we are still there, probably on the lower end. We had a couple of days below 70, that's for Brent. But given the news cycle, that was normal. But the idea is still that we view it sideways in 70 to 80. I just want to clarify several points here. As you recall from previous shows, I mentioned that the media in 2024 did something that we never seen before. There were two major elections in the United States and India, and the media, especially Bloomberg and Reuters, basically, were trying to prop up Biden, Harris, and Modi in India. So we had too many stories that been at least tilted or biased to support both. And therefore, it was natural for them to talk about how successful the sanctions are on Russia, on Russian oil, and how cooperative Modi is, and the economic growth in India, etc., etc. All of that has been proven to be wrong. It wasn't true. But one of the stories that we've been following right now is when we've seen Bloomberg and others talking about how sanctions were successful in reducing India's imports from Russia. Our view, and that's what we've written in the Daily Energy Report and in the newsletter, we said, look, you guys are missing the point. Russian oil companies are going through major maintenance, so they reduced exports. And if they reduce exports, then their customers have to find other sources. In addition, we ended up with two problems. The first one is when Biden imposed new sanctions on Russia before he left office, and that caused a lot of uncertainty in the market, and companies did not know what those sanctions mean, so they were rushing to find other substitutes until things cleared up. And then Trump came in and started talking about tariffs, and that caused more confusion in the market, and because of the confusion, companies start to look for other sources. But what we see now, we told our clients that look, India will continue to import oil from Russia, and whenever this thing clears up, they will import even more. And what we are seeing right now is India is importing more from Russia. The tariffs basically are putting downward pressure on oil prices. I strongly believe that if this continues, we are going to end up with a recession, which means that OPEC Plus is going to be in trouble because they need to cut production to balance the market. We also seen a major retreat from the International Energy Agency. This is really big news, and the media did not give it the enough size.
Okay, how does that impact? How does that change things in the oil market?
All of a sudden, the IEA, the International Energy Agency, went from we need to stop investing in oil and gas to we must invest in oil and gas.
Okay.
So that changes the whole sentiment toward the
Yeah.
whole sector. So that's a major change. The other one is Iraq is planning to import LNG. We are very bullish on LNG, by the way,
Okay.
especially in the medium term and long term. But here I would like to clarify a very important point. People think that the exemption that the United States used to give Iraq from Iran sanctions, they think that is stopped completely. The Trump administration stopped only the exemption to import electricity. Has nothing to do with gas. It is Iran who stopped exporting gas to Iraq, and Iraq is in deep trouble right now. So the only option is to rent a floating ship, basically to regasify the LNG. So they are working on that LNG. So for Iraq to import LNG has nothing to do with sanctions. I just want to clarify that point.
Okay.
The other point today is Scott Sheffield, the guy who established Pioneer Natural Resources, PXD, and he was the CEO and sold it for a massive amount of money to Exxon, went on CNBC and made a statement that he sold because they were running out of tier 1 deposits.
Oil. Okay.
This is shocking on several fronts. And people said, look, that's why U.S. shale is going to peak, and literally Exxon got fooled.
So that peak
I
oil
think,
story is back on the burner.
correct. But I think he's going to be in deep trouble right now because PXD was showing in its financial reports that they have a 20-year, basically tier 1 deposits, and all of a sudden he is saying we are running out. Someone lied. Either he lied on CNBC because he wants to, it was a vendetta because they kicked him out of the board. He was not able to get on the board of Exxon or something. I think there is something big about this statement, and we will hear more about it.
Okay. Okay. Can I ask you a few questions here?
Sure. I'm done with the points that I want to mention.
All right, great. And you sound very strong. And I love that picture of you with who were you with that you were shaking hands when you were younger?
I visited with the Secretary General of OPEC in Vienna.
That's right.
And they made a big story out of it. I was kind of surprised, but I'm glad to see that.
All right. So I've been waiting for the low 60s for quite some time. So let's collaborate. And, you know, a lot of people are going to call this a breakdown. A lot of bears are talking 40. Okay. I think that all we have to, that we're shaking out people right now, and that 62 will take this low out, and even these lows. So it's going to be the lowest price in 2 years. What do you think would support oil at 62 based upon your work that could generate a rally back to 100? Anything?
Yes, what we have a big story here. First of all, if those tariffs, it's not only the tariffs, basically we have two impact here for Trump policies. He's creating uncertainty in the market. He's creating a lot of confusion. That confusion basically is delaying investment and delaying the purchases of big items.
Okay. All right.
And then they might cause a recession. So we have two stories here. You can put them all together. And you can see that there is a lot of pressure on oil prices, regardless, because of this confusion and because of the slow economic growth resulting from that. We do have certain factors that we can try to have a sense of what's going on in China, and the news are bad. So between China and the United States, even in the United States, basically, we just published a report last week showing that oil demand in the United States is still lower than 2019. Even jet fuel, where we have a record number of people flying, yet still lower than 2019. We still have some serious problems. People who are saying we have lower oil demand because EVs, well, explain to me jet fuel then. Explain to me diesel. Explain to me trucking. So it's not about EVs. We have some serious major problems in the economy, and we have downward pressure. The only thing is we have to pay attention to is what the oil producing countries will do. The increase that they are planning to have, which is 138,000 barrels a day in April, is really a margin of error. If we have a small change in or a reduction in Libya or Nigeria, that will wipe it out on its own.
Could I
So,
postulate something that is a geo risk still? And I brought it up to you before, but I think it's even more imminent. The
yes.
current naval drills with China, Russia, and Iran, I think is a message because it's possible that President Trump, when he goes to Saudi Arabia, also has something to say about a joint military strike on Iranian nuclear facilities. Okay,
I
I know you don't think it's going to happen, right? But will they contend with Iran as a nuclear power, or are they going to do something? Don't forget, you're talking about President Donald Trump, who believes there were assassination attempts against him that originated in Iran. He doesn't
I'll
let.
push
Go ahead.
I'll push against that for the following reason. If you talk to the Saudis and others in the region like the UAE, Bahrain, and Kuwait, they will
Okay.
tell you, look, we have very bad experience with the United States historically. What they will do is they will strike and run away and leave us with the Iranians for the rest of our lives. They will leave us with the Houthis and
I
terrorists,
believe
etc.
that. I believe that.
So their point of view basically is, no, I don't want an escalation. Either you go for the kill or no escalation. So you
Okay.
take one of the extremes. You don't take something in the middle. And the
Well,
reason why,
taking out their nuclear facility would be a kill, wouldn't it?
no, no, basically that will leave them with all the military power to cause all kind of chaos in the Gulf, in the Hormuz Straits, in Yemen, in Saudi Arabia. Remember,
Yeah.
right now, one of the issues that we have to remember is that the technology has
Exactly.
evolved to the extent that few guys, ragtag guys who with few $100s can wreak havoc on a country. All they get to do is just a couple of drones, small drones, couple of explosives, and they can
True.
cause serious problems. It's
But
not
you
like
can't.
before. Before you need,
You need bunker busters, which only the U.S. has, to take out
well,
their nuclear program.
yeah, I mean, even if you take it, that does not mean the threat to Saudi Arabia and the rest of the Gulf is still
I agree.
there.
That doesn't mean it won't
So,
happen
so
because
the
there'll be a
idea
threat
here
to
is
others.
they will keep pushing the Trump administration and the Israelis not to take those measures.
Okay.
And I will tell you something I heard before, which is very important. The United States offered the Saudis kind of a dome to protect Saudi Arabia from Iran,
Right.
which means that the Saudis will pay billions of dollars every year for the cost of that dome forever. And I heard this from a senior official who said, look, I would rather go for war and go for the kill rather than to live under a dome for the rest of my life. So the idea here is they want to go for either extreme. Either you go and get rid of the regime or do very little and keep things as is. So right now there is kind of under the current agreement between the Saudis and the Iranians and the Houthis just to keep everything calm. Notice that Riyadh has not been attacked in the last 2 years because of that. And
That's
they
true.
refuse to do anything in the Red Sea against the Houthis for fear of that. So I don't think there will be an attack on Iran. The Iranian economy is collapsing. Their currency is collapsing. The situation is extremely bad. They lost in Syria. They lost in Lebanon. And they lost in Gaza. So I think they are just kind of trying to medicate their wounds and pay attention on the most important issues right now.
Okay. Well, and I do think you're right because I know you don't think it will happen, but should it happen, Saudi Arabia is very vulnerable. And it's interesting, and because they can't get through the dome in Tel Aviv and in Israel, and Saudi Arabia should get the dome. Are you saying that there's peace between the Shia and Sunnis now, the way you described what's happening in the Gulf?
It's, I mean, the whole description of Shia versus Sunni, this is more of a Western view than what reality is.
Okay, I'm
Okay?
willing to learn.
Let me give you a couple of examples. If you look at Saddam Hussein's government, his vice
Sunni.
president was Christian.
Oh,
His vice president was Christian. Tariq Aziz was Christian.
that's
Okay?
right.
His other assistants were Shia. So the
Okay.
whole idea of even if you look at Syria today, you look at the Kurds, for example, you look at Turkey, okay? The foreign minister of Turkey is Kurd. The right hand
That's a change. That's a change.
the right hand man for Erdogan is Kurd.
Right.
So the whole Western view of what's going on there is kind of distorted in various ways. So if you look at even during the Assad regime, the father, it was Christian, Jews, Shia, Alawites, Sunnis, all
Yeah,
living together,
it
even
was.
intermarrying. So how this is becoming the way we've seen, it just kind of amazing
Well,
to
there have been
see.
some historical examples of Saddam. Bush asked the Shiites to rise up, and we weren't there for them, and Saddam took retribution on them. Iraq and Iran, one being Sunni, one being Shiite, fought a very long, destructive war.
Well,
So
I'll tell you
there are some reasons, and it's not just Western.
Well, I will give you another example to counter that. There was a problem between Iran and Azerbaijan has problem with Armenia, who are Christians.
Yeah.
Azerbaijan are Shia, mostly Shia. Iran are mostly Shia. Yet Iran fought the Shia Azerbaijani and stood with the Christians.
Wow. I'd love to see more of that announced. Perhaps I have a Western view. I do live in California. It's West. From Chicago, so I was Midwest. So I
Well, you
have
invited
Western
me,
views.
so that's
yeah,
a very positive point.
I'm ecumenical. So I think I love everybody. Okay, when it comes to that, people, it's the same music with different names. Okay, it's the same music, and people have different song titles. That's what I think. So
But when it comes to politics,
yeah,
when it comes to politics, I'm going to raise a question for the audience, and I want them to pay attention to it, which I raised before, but I want to emphasize it one more time. If you look at Russian Urals exports to Asia, all the Urals crude goes through the Suez Canal and the Red Sea.
Yeah.
So they pass in front of the Houthis without any attacks, without any problems. Yet, the Russians cannot send a single LNG tanker through the Red Sea. And the question is, why?
Okay, audience, why? Can you
So
answer?
another one. The Qataris have no problems with the Houthis at all. Yet the Qataris cannot send a single LNG tanker through the Red Sea, and it has to go around Africa. But we have hundreds of oil tankers that pass through the Red Sea every week without any problems, but LNG, no. Since January,
one of our attendees said Russia is meddling too much.
Well, Russia would love to send its LNG through the Red Sea. It's way cheaper.
Okay. All right. So give us the answer. No one's come up with the answer. Why can't they send ships through?
Well, I will leave that. I'm not going to answer it right now.
Come on, man. You can't leave me.
I really want people to talk about it. I really want people to talk about it, because if I give the answer, they might just take it easy and forget about it tomorrow.
All right. You're right. By nature, people are lazy. So we'll have to do, someone Google that for me. And Anas, you've been all over the place, and I love talking to you. And thank you for letting me, get things off, my mind of what I think is happening, and it gives me balance. I'm still going to be buying WTI at 62. I don't know what the catalyst is going to be, but I'm going to try it down there. And I think that people need to follow you when it comes to the most important thing that we're all fighting over and running out of. Follow Anas Al-Haji on X. Go to his different, I think you have, don't you have a stack? What's that, Substack as
Yeah, we do
well?
have two
Anas?
Substacks. We have the daily energy report, and we do have the newsletter. And what we write in the daily energy report basically is really worth a while.
Okay. All right. So, I really believe that's important. I think that, I also think that that would be one of the things that would also screw up Trump's plan to get rates down by taking oil down. I think that there could be a rally in crude to be the opposite. He's had a few things go his way. A weaker dollar, that's something that he wanted, and lower crude so far. But for all I know, he wants this stock market correction. Let me ask you this, and we'll wrap it. Is this a planned recession to get, kind of a Reagan strategy where he got all the stuff out of the way at the beginning of his term? They want a lower 10-year yield. Could this be something that they're not interested in stopping? They want it to occur, to have
Let
a
me put it this
recession.
way. Let me put it this way. I'm going to put my academic hat and talk. For the last 120 years, we have tens of thousands of books, papers, research papers, articles, and columns in newspapers talking about government policy failures. So the norm is mostly for failures. And for people who are giving this administration 100% success on all policies does not fit the history of government. This could be either the best ever that ever happened, or we are in for a big failure. So the idea that, in a sense, we are giving them too much credit by trying to tell them they are doing this and they are doing this, they're doing. The fact is, if you look at what happened yesterday at the purchase of Tesla by the president and the top Republican leaders, that does not make any sense. That does not sound good politics. That does not sound kind of transparent things in a way where it seems they are benefiting someone.
It kind of
You look at what they did.
cheapens the office to have an infomercial on Tesla.
Correct. And if you look at what they did with crypto and everything else, it's very hard to say or to give them that much credit on policy.
All right. Anyway, I feel like I'm living in a Twilight Zone episode, and it doesn't end. Anyway, thank you, Rod Serling. Anas, thank you, my brother. Inshallah, good Ramadan to you, buddy, and talk to you in May or June.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Anas Al-Haji has to be part of your intelligence gathering, or you're not going to know where the flow is. Adios, everyone. Have a great rest of the day. You could join the team in 15 minutes on the Morning Edge, and I'll see you tomorrow. Don't just count your pips, count your blessings, right? Okay. Baraka. Blessings. All right, guys. Adios.